Series left the dock at Orlando and got right down to business.
Around goes Sprague. He's into the outside wall. Rutman goes by on the final lap of the race.
From Orlando to Tucson, Arizona, where 1996 Craftsman truck champion Ron Hornaday carried the payload. Back to Florida, rookie sensation Kenny Irwin Jr. drove to an impressive first win at Homestead. They hauled back to Arizona. Jack Sprague took the pole and the win on a hot Sunday in Phoenix. Now, after 4 races, 4 different winners, we're headed into the great Northwest, trying to tame the Portland half mile. Will there be another new winner or a repeat defender in the Craftsman 200 from Portland? The most difficult short track they'll run this season. That's the one at Portland, the half mile. The Craftsman 200, $307,000 for 32 top truckers. And right now, weather is an issue. A little bit of rain here. But the big issue, this racetrack, just ask Kenny Irwin how rough it is. Getting into turn 1 or into turn 3. How flat these corners are. As he spun his second truck, he's going to be a provisional starter, a former winner on the Craftsman Truck Series 1997. Hello everyone, Ken Squire, and welcome aboard for the Superstation WTBS Motorsports 1997. Great collection of races, Grand National, Winston Cup, and these Craftsman trucks. And here we are up in one of our favorite parts of the country, the Great Northwest. Great fans. Yeah, it's a little damp out there, but my colleague, Dr. Dick Berger, and he'll tell you, these folks, they'll stay through anything, snow or sleet, to watch these guys in action. And let's talk for just a moment, Dick, about how really tough it is out there.
This is as rough a racetrack as these guys will run on, Ken. It was last paved in 1970. Lots of pieces of paving have been done since then, and many of the drivers say it's a bit like running on a washboard. You've run on a washboard road in the country. Well, it's a whole lot like that here. And they say the only way to get around here fast is to pretend that you've got an egg between your foot and the throttle. Give it a little bit too much throttle going over these bumps coming off the corners. Guy could have an awful mess on his hands.
Well, while we unscramble the roost up here, let's go down trackside. Mike Hawkwood is there.
Ken, you mentioned Kenny Irwin, and he's a sprint car open wheel champion, but he had trouble here at Portland on this half mile. One at Portland, or at Homestead. He's trying to stay dry inside his backup truck right now. Kenny, you've got a long way to go from 29 to the front.
Is it done raining yet? Are we ready to go?
We're almost.
No, you know, our speedway program's really good, but we're just going to have to go to work on our short track program. And, you know, we just kind of qualified a little off today, but this Ray Bestas team, we'll get it going.
This is a bright young truck driver. His crew's not giving up. They think they can get this truck up to the front. Well, let's go up to the front now, and Steve Burns.
Mike, Rich Bickle sat on the pole here last year, but he spun out on the first lap and then spun out just a few laps later. So today, Rich wants to redeem himself, but even more, Rich Bickle wants to get that first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series win.
Well, I'll tell you what, these guys give me a great truck. I think this is probably the best truck I've had. Since we unloaded this Die Hard Chevrolet, it's been awesome. And, you know, beat the track record we had last year by quite a bit, and we've been that fast since we unloaded. So, I mean, and I'm not going to spin out and go turn 3 twice this year. I mean, I'm not going to make the thing wheel hop and make myself look bad, but we got a good truck here today, and I think this is the best shot we've had at winning a truck race.
And the crew chief, Dave McCarty, just spoke to the truck team owner, Darrell Waltrip, down in Sears Point, and he said, hey, boys, how about bringing us home a trophy?
There's the guy that broke his own record, and he's the only one that went faster from a year ago. Well, the rain's letting up, and we're just about ready to let them loose here at Portland. Stay with us on Superstation WTBS. In Oregon, they've been racing here just about since the time they invented the car, and we're almost set for a race. We're about 10 minutes behind on our schedule with this shower that cropped up. They had intended to qualify last night. It rained last night. We didn't get that in. They just got qualifying done about an hour ago out here, so they're trying very quickly to get back on schedule. They're moving cars now so they can do a little bit more drying on the track itself.
The shower is the operative word here. This is the Pacific Northwest, and it's pretty typical to have weather like this where you'll get a little bit of rain and then it'll go away. And look at this, they're starting to roll the trucks out now. Good chance we're going to get a start, real good chance we're going to see the whole race, so stick with us. And let's go down now to Steve Burns.
Well, Rich Bickle isn't the only one who has a car owner in Sears Point. Tammy Jo Kurt's car owner, Jeff Bodine. Tammy has a great starting position. You start third. Tammy, great place to start. Where can you finish?
I tell you what, we wanted to start up front hours ago, be in the top 5, and because here, you know, it's track position is real important. So I feel that, you know, the level truck run good yesterday or today, and we're proud to start up there, and we just want to go out and just stay out of trouble and finish in the top 5.
Is it hard to stay out of trouble here, Tammy? It's such a tough little racetrack.
Well, it's going to be so hard to pass. You know, it's really a one-groove racetrack, and I think starting up front is going to be real important today. We're just going to ride right behind Bickle and try to be there at the end, try to pass him at the end.
All right, let's check in with Mike Hogwood.
And we're back at the back again with Joe Ruttman. He's not accustomed to starting back here. He's 30th. Hey, qualifying was a little dicey for you today.
It was. It's interesting. I've only qualified twice in rain, and both times it's been at Portland, so now I can, now that I got LCI, now I can phone everyone and tell them how poorly I qualified, you know.
What about back here at the back? Now, you've got a great truck, but getting to the front's going to be trouble.
It's going to be real difficult, no question about
Say
it.
again?
You know, that's, on one hand, you
Yeah,
know,
sure.
it's a short
Right here.
race and very difficult to pass. So you know, it's, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. So I'm
Right.
not sure exactly how to handle it. You know, I want to be aggressive, but you know, you get torn up in an accident and then you're out of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see when this thing fires off what mood I'm in when they drop the green flag.
Ken Squire, I think patience will be a key word when we go green here.
It's the old line about PIV as far as racing's concerned. Patience is a virtue. For the guy starting back there in 30th spot, Joe Ruttman, and right behind him, the guy that won down at Homestead, Kenny Irwin. That's going to be some wild racing out back. Now, they've moved the cars, or trucks, I beg your pardon, trucks, into the quarter-mile facility here so they can do a little more drying on this track. You can see now they're beginning to pull the tarps off as we get a little closer to race time here today.
It could be a real good event today, too, Ken. We're talking about how difficult it is to pass here, but certainly it is more than possible to be able to do that. One of the best ways to pass is with the chrome horn up front. We got some strong contenders back there who are going to be looking to eat Bickle's lunch and try to take over that top spot as we see more of the trucks moving into the quarter mile.
Bickle, number 1 in points, 57 points, separate first to fifth. There's Jack Sprague. He's got to start 17th, and he's not a happy camper. Back in a moment. Ducks Unlimited. That's the Portland, Oregon Raceway you're looking at. Great crowd out for today, rain or shine. They come here to see the Craftsman trucks. And Dr. Dick Berggren, we're getting ready for a couple of great weeks here. We've got this half mile, which really puts them to the test. If you can get through here with those washboards in 1 and 3 and these very flat corners, and then make your way up to the Seattle area, to Monroe, Washington, where TBS Superstation will take you next week. You've got 2 of the best short track races in the country.
You really do, and the competition just loves this kind of stuff because, I mean, this is really the roots of American automobile racing, and in this case, American truck racing, because you can run so close to each other, and it's a lot of hammer and tong and a lot of real exciting action. We're watching the push trucks here. These are all volunteers from the Northwest Push Car Association. Maybe they need to rename that for this, but those guys have been around since 1949, volunteers pushing. There's Rick Crawford sitting in his truck. He's going to make his 5th start this afternoon. He will make a start this afternoon because this thing's going to run today.
There is a little more weather. What's ever swirling about us has swirled back in again, so now that we've got to go back through a bit more drying process. Let's get down to Steve Burns for a moment.
Ken, you mentioned Jack Sprague will start 17th. He won the last truck race in Phoenix. He has 3 top 10s in a row. Jack, you're starting 17th. Can you finish better than that?
Well, I sure hope so. The Quaker State Chevrolet was off good.
Doreen?
Drew off practice and went to qualify, and our ratchet was coming and going. It was not a very pleasant ride, to say the least. But we've got our work cut out for us, and due to the rain here in Portland, believe it or not, they impounded our trucks after qualifying because we had to qualify this morning, so we weren't able to change the gear. So we basically hoping and praying for all we're worth that it's going to be all right and it'll engage and stay engaged. But if it doesn't, it's not going to be good at all. But if the rear end will get right and it'll stay engaged, I believe we should be all right.
All right, best of luck, Jack. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
With Ron Hornaday. Ron, you know a lot about the weather this part of the country. We're liable to get some blue sky here before long in a dry racetrack.
Well, of course, if NASCAR needs it, they're going to get it. But they can start the race now. Everybody's got the same advantage. Track's just a little wet. We can dry it off when we get out there.
You really know this racetrack, particularly a year ago. You enjoyed coming back here to Portland.
It's a lot of fun. A little easier this year. You know, last year we were back and forth to Sears Point racing for Ricky Craven, but a lot more enjoyable this week. We got to stay here and do a lot to the truck, and we learned a lot about it. And we're right back to where we started last year coming here. Same shock, same everything. So we're looking forward to this race.
What's your key to getting around this racetrack as smooth as you do in these trucks?
Well, I don't know how smooth it really looks. You know, the track's really bumpy. It's got a manhole cover into one, so you just got to try to dodge the nooks and crannies around the track and just set the truck up real soft and run it. So we've done that, and John Munson and the guys done a great job with that Napa Chevrolet, so we're just ready to go.
And in that points chase, I know you're ready to make some moves there, too.
Well, we're starting on the outside today, so if we can get down early enough, that's what we want to do. We just need to get out of here with a good top 5 finish, and, you know, the points is what we're shooting for, and that's what we need to do to recover from the first race.
Ron Hornaday, have a good day today. Good race.
I appreciate that.
All right, that's Ron Hornaday, Kent.
Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, the truck number 16, that's back in 5th place in the standings as we come to this 5th race of the season. And he's hoping to move up 57 points, as we mentioned earlier. All that, as you look at them here, separate them. 21 back is Sprague, and then there's a differential of 42 between Bliss and the leader, another 21 back. Then you see Chuck Bound, who has come into this series, and as he does so many times, he and Resendez are two of the ones that have completed all the mileage that has been run this year. So we're waiting on the weather for just a moment as you look at those standings. We'll come back, give you a look at the starting lineup here in a moment or two for this 200 lapper at Portland today, the Craftsman 200. Coming down again, as you can see from the Duralube aerial platform here at Portland, Oregon. Yeah, picked up another time. So there will be a bit of a delay, but we still intend to get this one in here today, and show you this exciting truck series of NASCAR, the Craftsman Series. Let's take a look at what the starting lineup will be today. Rick Bickle is on the pole. He broke his old record and did it in dramatic form. It's a 20.227, the new track record. And then starting alongside is Hornaday. Here's row 2, and Tammy Jo Kirk with her best qualifying run will be alongside Butch Miller. In the O'Connell Lodge starting order, in row 3, you have Jimmy Hensley out of Virginia, and that Ford of Brian Refner. Going to row 4 today, Chuck Bound back, and this is his part of the country. Won his last race out here 20 years ago on this track. Tony Raines alongside him. Going to row 5, Bob Keselowski with a great 6th place finish recently. And there's Boris Said ready to go once again. Here's Rick Crawford, an outstanding rookie, and Dan Press. This is one of the legends of the Northwest. Stacy Compton and Lonnie Rush make up row 7. Going to row 8 today, that's where you've got Rick McRae and Lance Norrick, that great racer out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Jack Sprague, Toby Butler for row 9 this afternoon. And in row 10, Resendez and Mike Bliss. Watch Bliss come pouring through the field. Row 11's Doug George, and with him comes Michael Dokken, Rockin' Dokken, ready in row 11. Row 12, there's Rick Corelli, the High Plains drifter, and Jimmy Bound. That's Chuck Bound's brother. He's tough on this track. Jay Sauter and Bill Sedgwick are going to make up row 13. Back in row 14 is Dave Goulet, the High Wall Special. More on that later. And Tony Roper. In row 15, you've got Kenny Irwin, that great Indianapolis star, and Joe Ruttman. And in row 16, Bob Rizzo out of East Providence and Kenny Allen. So you've got yourself a great field getting ready to go. Please excuse our mud. So they're thinking about fishing in there. Great salmon country out here in Oregon. We're going to take a break from here and go back to Atlanta. We get a little break in the weather. We'll come back once more for the start of the Craftsman 200 at Portland. Dick Berger, and the track is coming back into shape as we get down to get this $300,000 event underway.
Hey, the rain quit. I was just outside. It isn't raining. It dropped. They've got the jet dryer out there. They've been dragging tires, and we're going to get this thing in real soon.
Well, as we wait here to get this thing underway, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up here on TBS. That weekend of May the 24th will be in Chuck Bound. He drove his very first race in this track. That's not David Cassidy. That's Chuck Bound. I think he tried to convince Debbie that he was David Cassidy. Look at those shoes, huh? That's when he drove his first race, and it was right here at Portland. And 20 years ago, he won the last time he raced at Portland. And he's standing by with Mike Hogwood now, Chuck Bound.
Hey, Chuck, what about that haircut, man, huh? You look great 20 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know what you were talking about. I got you. Yeah, a little different. I'm aged, a little gray, too.
What about this race today, starting 5th, and on a track where you've come back and seen a lot of old friends? What about the racetrack? Has it changed a whole lot?
It really has. You know, it's the same old racetrack, but I'd swear I'd never been here before. 20 years is a long time, but the bumps have increased immensely, and it's really hard to get the horsepower in these trucks down to the ground, so it's rough and bumpy out there. You slip and slide a lot.
We were talking about the 600 a moment ago, and over those 20 years, you've run in a couple of 600s and had a good finish or two there. What is that like for a driver?
It's probably the most physically enduring race because of the time element. I mean, you're looking at a 4 or 5 hour race, and that's tough. And it starts out now in the afternoon, and you race into the dark. And Charlotte Motor Speedway is notoriously known for you got to have a daytime setup, and then you got to have a nighttime setup. And it's really difficult to be right at both times. You got to make your car adjustable, start out tight for the daytime stuff, and then adjust it, free it up as the night comes. And, you know, with a competition like it is, it's tough to be good both day and night.
Chuck, good luck today. Over to Steve Burns.
And a guy who knows a thing or two about winning at Charlotte at the 600, Barry Dodson, crew chief here for Mike Bliss. Of course, he won some races there with Rusty Wallace. That's a tough race to win, man.
Any race at Charlotte's tough to win, you know, especially the 600, 400 miles, 400 laps over there, and, you know, they're all hard. That's a tough race.
All right, now let's talk about more serious matters at hand. Barry, your teams are out here for 10 days. You brought a lot of extra equipment on the trucks. Show us the most important feature here.
Right here, dude. It's our fishing rod. If we ever get the race in, we'll probably go over on the Clackamas and do some salmon fishing or snook or whatever we can catch, you know.
And tell them what you've been fishing for while you've been sitting here during the rain delay.
Suckers.
Guys, they had a $1 bill at the end of the line, and they landed out in the middle of the garage area, and I've seen at least 10 suckers so far.
Barry Dodson never changes. Hey, today's just the beginning of the biggest motorsport season ever on Turner Sports. We get this one in the next Saturday. Off to Monroe, Washington for more NASCAR Craftsman trucks. That's next Saturday here on TBS. And don't forget May, Memorial Day, the big one, Winston Cup, Charlotte Memorial Day 600 Coca-Cola race on TBS. And June and July are Pocono Winston Cup months. For your tickets to either great Pocono weekends, just call toll-free 1-800-RACEWAY. Operators are on duty, and of course, we'll be with you on TBS July 19th and 20th from Pocono. Let's go back to the studios in Atlanta, and then we'll return. Looks like we're just a few minutes away from a start here at Portland, Oregon, with the Craftsman Truck Series. And we've nearly got a dry racetrack. 32 trucks coming off. 32 truck drivers getting ready to test themselves against the toughest short track they'll face all year. With Dick Berggren, I'm Ken Squire, and it really looks like we're just about ready to do business out there.
It hasn't rained in 45 minutes here. The trucks that are dragging the tires now, look at the smoke coming off that. That only happens when the racetrack is drying out. It looks real good. Let's get down to Steve Burns.
Yeah, and Dick, the best sign of all is that Ron Hornaday and the rest of the drivers are getting ready to get back to their trucks.
Well, we're ready to go, but it would have been a perfect day today for NASCAR and us to just try out our new rain tires and everything. But I tell you what, with NASCAR and everything that's going on, they're going to get this race in.
All right, best of luck. Let's go to Mike Hogwood. Thanks, Ron.
Say, train and get well soon.
Thank you, man.
Hey, I was talking to a bunch of the drivers here, and they feel that this rain has actually made this racetrack better. We're going to have a better show this afternoon. It was a little dusty here. Well, all that dirt has been washed off now, and this track is going to have a little more adhesion to it. Jimmy Hensley was telling me that. He's starting 5th in the Dodge. How excited is Jimmy Hensley? Hey, he's already in the truck, strapping in. He's ready to go racing, Ken Squire.
Ready to cinch up the seat belts and go racing here this afternoon with the Craftsman trucks. We'll go back to Atlanta for just a few minutes while they get themselves organized and hopefully be back for a start just moments away. At Portland, Oregon, Craftsman 200. And we're just about 3 minutes from that point where we can get this puppy to bark. Let's take a quick look at the race analysis for this Craftsman truck event today that's been delayed here for about an hour because of inclement weather. 307 $100,000 at stake for the 32 competitors.
This is the third time they've been here. That is twice as much money as they had the first time when they were here. 101 laps in the first segment. That's what it takes to make this thing a complete event. The total race, 200 laps. We expect we're going to get the whole thing in. 96 winner, Ron Hornaday.
He'll start 5th in today's event. Let's take another quick look at that starting grid. If you were not with us earlier, here's how they're going to line up with Rich Bickle, new track record. Ron Hornaday, defending champion, right alongside Tammy Jo Kirk. That gal has put herself into row 2, best she's ever done. Going back to row 3, Hensley Refner. Chuck Bound back at home in Portland, Oregon with Tony Raines in that row 4. Going to row 5, got Bob Keselowski, and his Chrysler is really beginning to rumble. Boris said, best qualifying he's had. Rick Crawford, Dan Press. Row 7 looks like this today, with Stacy Compton and Lonnie Rush, and then comes Rick McRae and Lance Norrick in row 8. Getting back to row 9 is Jack Sprague and Toby Butler. 10 is Resendez, and Mike Bliss well back in the field. Going to be fun to watch him run. Doug George, and then Doc and Rick Corelli well back in that 12th row with Jimmy Bound. We've got the 13th row with Billy Sedgwick on the outside, Jay Sauter inside, and there's Dave Goulet and Roper, Irwin and Rutman. Boy, that's at row 15, and that's going to be a tough one. Those are 2 former winners this year, starting back there as Provisio's, and then it's Rizzo and Allen to wind up the field.
We're going to have a start real soon. They're getting ready to fire the trucks up. The drivers are now sitting in them. Still a little bit of drying activity going on. There's Rich Bickle. He has been quickest since we got here in every practice session.
Green, yellow will be the first few laps of this thing as we get this track a little more dry, but they're about ready to rumble. 16 Chevys, 12 Fords, 4 Dodges begin to thunder. That wasn't the 16 Chevys, 12 Fords, and 4 Dodges. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Hey, you want to know how good Rich Bickle is on this racetrack. As we said last year, he sat on the pole. He broke his own track record here today. Yesterday in practice, he had the fastest truck on the racetrack. He came in, said, guys, change all 4 springs, all 4 shocks. They went, what are you talking about? He said, let's just do it. He went out and immediately picked up 0.2 of a second. So you can see he's very good on this racetrack, and they're getting faster as they go. Ken Squire?
Hip-hop has its own music. Now it has its own racetrack. It's hip-hop into turn 1 and into 3 here. Here are the ones that failed to qualify. Brandon Butler didn't make it. T.J. Clark, bad break for him. Andy Gensman, Brian Cunningham, among those that are not coming out to make this field here at Portland.
Not on that graphic, but Toby Butler also didn't make the field. He demolished his truck yesterday in the first practice session. He's still in the hospital, cracked the first vertebrae. All the feeling is there. Butler is healing. He is doing better. Surely he would have much rather been here, though.
Going to turn them loose, run some laps under green and yellow, so they'll hold position, get some laps on the board. And here they come out of the half mile at Portland. And this first turn they'll be addressing here. This is tricky. That's where Butler crashed yesterday and broke his neck. He went absolutely head on. Looked like the throttle just held up on him, and away it went. Got over to those ripples. There was no way to control the thing, and it was straight into the wall.
Now you can see still see the skid marks from that thing that happened yesterday.
Yep. Here's the breakdown on the manufacturers in the field. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back as we get down towards a green flag here at Portland, Oregon, and get these trucks rambling. Back with you. They just sent out a rabbit to see if this track was dried. Rich Bickle was the bunny. Looks like they're getting very close to a start. Let's check on the truck in cars, in trucks for today. You're riding with Mike Bliss, starting in 20th, that ASE Racing Ford. Here's Ron Hornaday with his Chevy, starting 5th with the Napa colors. And Tony Raines, Pennzoil rig, and Dodge, that'll be flying today. He's been doing far better. Boris said, best qualifying run he's had. Federated Auto Parts Ford. And Lance Norwick with those hockey colors. He says, look out for Philadelphia in June. Lance Norwick. Yeah. About 3 laps before they're going to turn them loose, they say.
Pace truck still on the field. The 20 that you see there is Butch Miller. On the inside of him is Tammy Jo Kirk. This Kirk is not a fluke starting in third position. She was third quick in much of the qualifying as well. She has been very fast here at Portland.
It was interesting. I was over there, and some lady came by and said, it is so wonderful to see a lady racer. And as the lady walked off, that it said at one of her mechanics, this is no lady, this is a racer. Tammy Jo Kirk getting ready on the inside of row 2, number 7. There you see her getting ready for a go. 2 to go before they start counting. 2 to counting. It was interesting watching that number 7 coming up in qualifying, getting over that and looking just about as good as the truck that's up in front, number 17, getting into turn 1, Rich Bickle. Bickle last year had that amazing qualifying run, put Dodge on the pole for the first time since back in the 70s, then lap 1, went into turn 3, he got to do the hip hop. It was all over. Spun it out twice before the thing was hardly underway.
Too much brakes going into the third turn. He admitted it. Got some wheel hop going. Lost control of the truck right off out of the pole. He says he's not going to do that today. He has been thinking about that moment ever since. He hated what happened to him.
Soft springs in the back.
And in the front.
On the brakes.
Yep. Everything's
really
soft
on the back to get into these corners and not get that thing loose. And somehow Bickle has a way around here. He's only sat on the pole twice in his truck racing career. Both times have been here on the half mile, the toughest short track these trucks will face this year. 1 lap and we're going to go racing.
Bickle's got a very, very simple race plan for today. He intends to lead the first lap and every lap after that. He said he doesn't care. Nobody's going to get by him. He has never won one of these truck races. He's been 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, never won. He says today's my day. We'll see.
Getting set on a start. Ron Hornaday up on the outside. Did I say he was 5th? Truck's off. Jimmy Hensley was back in 5th. He's 5th in points. Here he comes, ready to go green. We're ready to rock and roll here at Portland, Oregon. Get ready. The Craftsman trucks of NASCAR, fastest truckers in the world, ready to put it on. Their first short track show, then up to Seattle, Monroe, Washington next week. This Portland last year was a doozy. Looks to be the same today. And down into turn 1. Hey, how about that Hornaday? He threw it right in there and made the 17 lift. Typical short track move into 1. The pinch was put on. And all of a sudden, Bickle was looking up from 2nd. He thought he had it in. They try to shove Tammy Jo back on the inside. The number 43 Hensley moving through.
Tammy Jo got sandwiched back there. It's Chuck Bound in the 99 on the inside. Tony Raines, the ASA champion, on the outside in the yellow truck.
There's that 43 of Hensley, and he was not able to put the move on Tammy Jo Kirk. She held on. Meanwhile, up in front, here you have the 16 Hornaday defending Craftsman truck champion out in front. Rich Bickle, Waltrip's choice, right there in 2nd spot, knocking on the door. They're ready to knock on that wall as they come out of turn number 2. They take it right flush to the wall. Every one of 200 left. Whoa, a little loose there.
Bickle tried to close right in on Hornaday's bumper. He did that, but he couldn't hang on to the truck, and he managed to slip back about a half a length.
Butch Miller lies 3rd. Got a black flag out, and I think it may be on the 31, but it might have been the 98. We'll check it next time by. Consultation flag coming out.
This is the race for the lead right here. Bickle on the bottom.
Not getting through.
No.
Brian Refner in the 66 lies in 4th. Front 4 all together.
They've got big, wide mirrors on these trucks. They've also got spotters high above the grandstand in the 4th turn. Bickle apparently has decided he's got enough safety from Butch Miller behind him. He is trying the high side and also trying the low side.
Tammy Jo Kirk hangs right on in 5th spot. She's dropped 2. She got shoved around in that 2nd corner. She shoved right back on Hensley and took a spot. Meanwhile, Hornaday holds the lead. Here comes Rich Bickle, a little fired up, and what a great start as opposed to a year ago in the 98, slowing down and coming, and I think that was for whom we saw that black consultation flag come out. Kenny Irwin, the Indianapolis, Indiana star, and what a star he is. Former midget champion, great Silver Crown racer, comes to the trucks. Look out for Kenny Irwin in the future. 98, Irwin told to come in. Here's Mike Hawkwood.
Story on Kenny Irwin. He jumped the start, tried to make it 3 wide on the green. He got in the gas too early. They brought him in for a penalty.
Hey, Silver Crown driver. That's the way they do it. They just get them wound up and go. Take a look at this move on the outside. I tell you, it's going to be like this all day, folks. Stay with us here at Portland. Laps complete here today. Apparently NASCAR has lost their scoring, and here's how we see it over the front 11 at the present time. You've got Dan Press in that 11th spot, Keselowski in 10th, then in 9th is the Bound car. Running just in front of them in 8th is the 19, the Penstoil car. That's Raines. Then comes Jimmy Hensley. He'd be up into 7th. You've got Tammy Jo Kirk. In front of her is Refner. And in the front of the field, the 16 out in front. And what a show we're getting. Here you have the 16 just barely in front of Rich Bickle in the 17. And they've been like this from the very outset. And about 10 truck lengths back is the number 66 of Refner. Now up to 4th goes Tammy Jo Kirk. Back to 5th goes Hensley. 6 Raines. And into 7th, number 99. Chuck Bound having a good run. Keselowski into 8th. Press to 9th. They swap them around.
Bickle in the truck that you're looking at right now has just done absolutely everything he can imagine to try to get by Hornaday. He's probably got a truck that's a little bit faster, but Hornaday is doing such a good job of using up racetrack, Bickle just can't get by. Remember, his strategy, lead every lap. He hasn't led a lap yet. Hornaday jumped out of the second starting spot, grabbed the lead, and Bickle has been behind him ever since, just hounding him. Can't get by, not so far anyway.
Scoring coming up. Just got her back. It was blank for a bit, but we have it now. And it's as we told you, those front 10 positions. Out back, the truck's on the run from the rear. Ruttman trying to make up some time and scoot back up to gain these leaders. He does not want to get a lap down. Irwin got in trouble as he jumped on the start from back in that 15th row. So Kenny Irwin was assessed a stop-and-go penalty on pit road. Take a look at the Napa field standings as you watch this war up in front. Hornaday with some great defensive driving keeps that Napa rig in first place.
They just lapped Michael Dokken as well. He had a good, strong truck here, lost the motor in practice, and they just went by him, putting Dokken a lap down. Truck Hornaday is driving is certainly the best they have in the stable. Hornaday has won 10 races in this series, 6 of them in this truck, including this race right here at Portland last year. He won at Tucson just a few weeks ago in '97 in this same truck, and right now he has his hands full with Bickle, who is all over the back bumper of that thing.
And we know that Bickle was almost 3/10 of a second quicker, so he's got some power. But Hornaday is holding him right there, nipping away, trying to snatch that spot back. That's Rich Bickle in the 17, just trying to find a way to weasel the front of that truck in front of that number 16, and Hornaday won't give him an inch. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Hey, Ken, John Monson here, the crew chief for Ron Hornaday. They have some different setup strategy than the rest of the trucks. John?
Well, we set up a little bit tighter this week because we seem to have had the problem in the last few races of getting loose at one point or other during the race, and we want to make sure that he can drive the truck nice and straight off the corner where we have awesome forward bite. As long as we can maintain that, we're in good shape.
Smooth, smooth, smooth. They've got to be smooth on that gas pedal coming out of the corner and smooth on the brake pedal going in.
Into turn 3. Here's Bickle looking to the outside on Hornaday. As that little hole coming off the corner, Hornaday is willing to give him the inside off number 4, but he knows he has to pinch it down, and that costs him just a little. He has to lift a little throttle to take that inside hole, and Hornaday is able to stay a half truck length in front. Super racing today at Portland in the Craftsman Truck Series. Here comes Bickle back to the inside. Not going to happen there. Hey, the first 27 laps, all a battle between these two. As we go to commercial, let's recall the final outcome of the Craftsman 200 and the Bud Who Won a year ago.
Hey, race fans, Budweiser asks, who won? May 4th, 1996, Portland Speedway. Rich Bickle in truck 43 and the number 94 of Ron Barfield started a ferocious duel from the front row. But it didn't take long for number 16, driven by Ron Hornaday Jr., the 3 of Mike Skinner, and Mike Bliss in number 2 to move into contention. But who won? Here's the list of contenders, the result when we return. At Portland, pole sitter Rich Bickle fell from contention after this encounter with challenger Ron Barfield. Mike Bliss took over second after a fender scraping duel with defending series champ Mike Skinner. But in the end, it was Ron Hornaday Jr. scoring his first NASCAR Truck Series win of the year. Who Won was brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. This Bud's for you.
Just back under green, there you see Hornaday come in under lap 33 as they take green. We're coming around to complete lap number 34. We had a caution for Rick McRae, who spun in turn 2. No big damage, just spun to the inside. There you see them back to Dan Press, and just behind him was Bob Sed, running in the 11th position, and in 12th was Rick Crawford, the rookie. Mike Hawkwood.
Hornaday has told his crew, Hornaday told them that, hey, does get slick when you get up out of the crew. What is Rich Bickle saying to his crew? Absolutely nothing. His crew chief, Dave McCarty, says he hasn't said one word since the green flag fell, but he knows he'll get him if he can. One other note here on pit road, Michael Dockett is in. He has a miss in his engine. He's had motor troubles all weekend.
Thanks, Mike. That number 98 that you see in third is a lap down. Kenny Irwin, the winner at Homestead, running a lap down after a stop-and-go penalty for jumping the green flag out the outset. Butch Miller, the number 20, just behind him, would be your third-place truck. Here are your 2 leaders, then here's your third-place Miller. Now here comes 4th and 5th. That's Refner in the 66. Number 7, right there, Tammy Jo Kirk, coming to the inside on Refner. Back to Steve Burns.
Dick Bergman said just a moment ago how these drivers have to be easy on the gas. We show you how the engine builders help them do that to avoid tire spin. This is the carburetor off Jack Sprague's truck. Now, when the driver is at half throttle, you see those holes open up. At full throttle, the back holes open up. So to achieve that, what they do is they remove the rear carburetor arm, this one right here. They'll take it off so they can only get halfway open, avoiding tire spin.
That tire management, one of the big issues in trying to win at Portland.
It's going to be even more so today, Ken, because with all the rain that we had last night, the rain that we've had earlier today, it's basically a green racetrack, and that will chew up the tires for sure. Good race going on right here between Refner and 7 of Tammy Jo Kirk.
4th and 5th on the field. Kirk started 3rd.
Refner, I'll tell you what, I don't know who to cheer for here. Poor Refner in the 66. 4 races this year. He's the Rookie of the Year last year. The guy hasn't finished a single race. He's crashed out of every single one of them. Tammy Jo Kirk, let me tell you, this crowd is with her as well. When she timed in 3rd quick, this place just about erupted. Even she could hear it in the truck over the sound of the engine. So who do you cheer for?
Ernie Cope, her crew chief, Derek Cope's cousin, for that number 7. He's 24th out at Orlando, picked it up a little at Homestead by a notch, then 12th at Phoenix, missed at Tucson. She's sure not missing today. Into lap traffic, riding with Raines in the 19. And Tony Raines is going to be a guy to look for in the future. At 7th spot, right in front of him, that Hensley.
Hurricane Hensley, that's him in the Dodge, Richard Petty's Dodge.
And right behind him comes Bound. 20 years ago on this track, Chuck Bound drove for the last time here. He was born in Portland, Oregon. He won, first time back. As you heard him say, he didn't remember it being this bumpy.
Probably wasn't. There's a riverbed under this thing, and that's part of the reason the racetrack is so rough. It's not that they don't care of the racetrack, it's just the geography, the climate, that kind of thing that makes it so very hard to have a smooth track. And here comes Keselowski in the 29, and what a story he's been in the last few weeks.
Isn't it, though? Great. That 6th place finish the other day. Oh, look at this battle again for the lead. Bickle on the outside. Hornaday down on the bottom. And it is Rich Bickle on the high side. The pole sitter back out in front. And they're up at Cherry in Portland, Oregon, as Rich Bickle tries to win that first truck race. Hornaday back to 2nd. He's willing to wait a while, not too long. What a great champion this guy is, Hornaday.
Bickle sure did it the hard way, didn't he? He tried and tried and tried, and finally he just gritted his teeth, and on the outside he went.
half-mile track, 20.227, the new record, 88.9 miles an hour. The old record, 88.2. Rich Bickle, Edgewater, Wisconsin. Further back in the field, there's that number 86 knocking on the door. That's Stacy Compton coming along, and I think he's down a bit. 44 is Boris Said right with him. He is in, what, 11th or 12th now, Boris Said.
Boris Said is looking for a ride to go to Le Mans. He had one all squared away, and the team decided it wasn't going to go. And so here's Said. Got a free weekend, wants to race in Le Mans. And look at Joe Ruttman in that number 80. Has come all the way from the back to challenge.
Yeah, 30th position up to 16th. And there's the 86 ducking down to the inside. Compton, the rookie, trying to fight his way through. Boris Said, the 44, gets pushed to the outside. I like the style of Boris Said. He's still on the outside and losing spots, and you're going to lose him there. He spent the off-season, good skier, didn't ski a lick. Went out and found it. Whoa, take a look at this as they cut and groove. He spent that whole season off running big carts down in Southern California, just trying to get his edge, trying to get a little better.
Riding with Mike Bliss here, Jack Sprague is ahead of us. Sprague has led the most laps in 3 out of the 4 races this year. At Tucson, the only short track race, he didn't lead. Sprague, in fact, has never won on a short track, but he sure has the miles in his pocket.
He's in 16th position, and Bliss in 17th, trying to take it away. There's Rick Corelli in the number 6. He could be strong here before this one's over. And the 87, that's Jimmy Bound. That's Chuck Brown's younger brother. He, too, cut his teeth on this track. But those Bound kids didn't run here regularly. They were a traveling show from the day they were in high school. They ran in series all over the Northwest. There's Resendez, 35. He's looking stout. We'll be back with more from Portland in a moment. Lap 56 as they come down for 57 from the Duraloop aerial platform. The view of this half-mile track in Portland, Oregon. The incident was in turn 3, and it involved the number 35 of Dave Resendez. He one of that trio who's completed every mile, every lap in the first 4 races, but that's in jeopardy now. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Ken, I'm down here between turns 3 and 4. Basically what happened is we looked up, 3 trucks got together. Dave Resendez was the one caught in between. He spun around, made very heavy contact. He was tagged by an oncoming truck. So Resendez has very heavy damage to the left front of the number 35 truck.
That's really too bad. He needed a great finish today. Resendez is about to have an addition to his family. Evan Paul is on the way in 2 weeks, and that'll make number 4, and he needs a big paycheck to pay for that kind of stuff.
Okay, we'll take a quick break and then come back as we get ready to turn them loose once again. Resendez in some trouble. How much we'll know in a moment.
10-4.
Bliss in number 2. He's having himself a pretty good run. Back up to 16th spot. Let's go to Mike Hawkwood.
Tony Gibson, crew chief on the Dave Resendez truck. What Dave say happened?
Well, you know, they've been running pretty close to 6 car and a 3. And then all of a sudden the 87 tried to go through the grass and pass them. You know, I don't know where he came from, but anyway, you know, it kind of hurt our chances. We're going to be all right, though. We got the sheet metal pulled away, and we'll just try to get the lap back and have a good day.
All right, ready to go green.
That 3 car is Jay Sauter. The 6 they were talking about, the High Plains drifter, Rick Corelli. And the 87 was Jim Bound. Green when they come by. This time it will be lap 63 as they take green, completing the second caution of the day.
Michael Dawkins' truck on the low side. Remember, he went into pits a few laps ago for engine trouble. He's back out again. Kenny Irwin also on the bottom. He is a lap truck. So we get 2 lap trucks up front, and then the leaders get ready to come down for the green flag. Bigley, your leader, 17. Hornaday in 16 is in second.
Go!
Butch Miller is in third. The green's out.
Just behind Miller comes Tammy Joe. Tammy Joe Kirk had pulled up to 4th, got around Refner. He's back in 5th. And Refner is challenged on the outside. Raines tries to go around him. Out of turn 3. Not quite there.
It's just black flag Bob Rizzo. He'll have to go to the pits.
Jumped it.
Hard to say. He was way in the back, Ken.
Raines.
Oh, big crash up in turn 3.
Hard crash with 1, 2,
Track
3
clear in
trucks
3 and 4.
Stumbling into the wall. They pick themselves up and continue, but it brings out the 3rd caution.
Morris said in the 44 was very heavily involved in that thing. The front end of his truck is all pushed on. We're looking at the 65 of Kenny Allen.
He was in it. So they've all been able to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and march merrily along, but they want to check that fourth turn wall. They were almost out there in the grape arbor.
And that wall
Blackberry bushes.
Yeah, the wall is new. Oh, wow. Sed just went round and round, and then he got tagged by the 87 of Compton. Jay Sauter in the 3 gets involved in it. The number 12 of Doug George. Let's go for a ride. All right, so where are you supposed to go when that sort of thing comes through the windshield?
A quick break, and then we'll be back with more action from Portland, Oregon, with the Craftsman trucks this afternoon on TBS. Truck racing at Portland. Bickle in front. Hornaday holding second spot. And the rest of it wide open. Butch Miller in third. Tammy Jake Cork is in fourth. Looking further back as you get a Napa rundown here. Our Napa field summary. Look at number 99. There's Bound down on the inside trying to move under the number 43 of Jimmy Hensley. Number 99, Chuck Bound, picking up another spot. Comes into this race fourth in points. And Bound is rolling this afternoon. The 99. He qualified very, very well for the race. And he picks himself up still another spot to seventh.
And right behind him, Keselowski of that 29 truck, running real well. He picked up a whole bunch of sponsorship this year, Keselowski did. And as a result, he went from just having family working on that truck to 14 people, and he's had some of his best runs ever as a result. 27 has slowed on the racetrack.
That's Bob Rizzo. Here's Mike Hogwood.
As he went by it, and it looked like the left rear was flat. Looks like Rizzo has a flat tire.
Keselowski, 6th at Phoenix, and he was right there in fourth until late in the going. And Keselowski, the 29, and the 99 of Chuck Bound are closing all the time on Reigns in that yellow Pennzoil number 19. They have really reeled them in, the 99 and the 29. They come down out of 4. They've got Refner in their sights, and if they get to Refner, they've achieved the mark of getting the 5th spot. Meanwhile, in front, it's Rich Bickle having it his way. Hornaday in second, Miller in third, and Tammy Jo Kirk in fourth. Look at that number 80, the yellow-red number 80. That is Ruttman. He started 30th today, and he is flying through the field. Looks like 13th position at the present time. Dick.
Joe wants to put on a good show today because his brother Troy is home in Arizona ailing, the 1952 winner of the Indianapolis 500, battling cancer. We wish you well, Troy Ruttman, as your brother continues to move forward in this field.
Troy Ruttman, one of the all-time greats in open-wheel racing, who gave us some of the great moments in that Agachinian car back in the 50s. The Black Knight of Ontario, California. Hope you're feeling better, Troy.
52-year-old Joe Ruttman on the move in Jack Roush's truck.
Stacy Compton in the 86 just in front of him, and then Dan Press. Love to watch Dan Press race.
He's fun out here, isn't he?
Oh, isn't he a great guy to watch? He'll give you a handful every time. It's great racing. Here's Mike Bliss in the number 2. He scoots through, trying to find just a little bit of a hole. He's in 16th.
Right behind Jack Sprague.
Yep. Jack Sprague up there in 15th spot. Jack Sprague, not a big favorite of short tracks, and hates this Portland track. This is not his kind of race. He wants to get it out
20 to go, 20.
Buddy Baker style. Go for it. Mike Hogwood.
Tammy Jo Kirk having a great run today. This is one of the reasons why crew chief Ernie Cope, a minimum of 2,000 laps here. He ran in the Winston West Series, the Northwest Tour. You know this racetrack.
Yeah, we've got a lot of laps here, but Tammy, she's catching on quick. We put a kind of a basic of our Winston West setup on it and kind of told her how to get around, and she picked it up real quick. She did the same thing down in Phoenix.
Now that West Coast setup is working great today, Ken.
Yeah, 4th place and closing. Now that 98, remember, is a lap truck. That's Kenny Irwin, the Indianapolis star, who got penalized at the start. He's still trying to make up a lap.
We've been talking all day about how you have to be real smooth out here. Tammy Jo says that she learned that in motorcycle racing, how to run smooth.
Look at Keselowski in the 29. He's in 7th, and just in front of him, Raines. Good driver in this 19. He's given a good performance thus far this season. He's got something to contend with, though, now. Great ARCA champion Ron Keselowski comes up, gives him a little shot, and he held on to it. Hello. It's a rough track out there, folks. What may look like they're hitting each other is often perpetrated by the fact that it is a washboard going in those corners. You aim in one place and it goes somewhere else. And these cameras up on top don't show you that. That is a washboard. Look at that 19 flailing to the outside, and that's all that Keselowski needs. He gets up alongside. Whoops! Whoa. And he lost it big time. Lost a spot.
Chuck Bound right on the button there. He saw all that going down, and when he got a chance, he took it. Well, Keselowski almost had the spot, didn't he?
Yeah, darn near. Chuck Bound comes back up. He'll try Raines now. So Raines holds on to that position. That's 6th spot.
Raines, the 1996 ASA champion, running here at Portland for the very first time.
And he qualified 8th. 96 ASA #1 guy with 3 wins that year. I mean, this is one to watch. He's another one of those champions that keeps on assembling here in this Craftsman Truck Series. It's amazing the number of different champions that show up every year to try this thing out. It's some challenge.
Look at the back end of Bound's truck, that number 99. Looks like he's had contact with somebody. In fact, about half the trucks in this field, we're not yet to the halfway point, but about half of them are already marked in some way.
Let's talk about halfway. 101, Dick?
Yep.
They'll bring him in for, what, 4 or 5 minutes, then put him back out again.
You see the damage to Bound's truck. That won't hurt him here on a half-mile racetrack.
He's used to that. He's raced in the Northeast, the Southeast, the Northwest, and he's raced the whole country over
But
some
you know,
25 years.
Even though he's a Portland guy, Ken, he's had very little experience at this racetrack because he started right out racing touring cars, and of course now he's in trucks, so he's not got a lot more experience here than many of the other drivers. Raines of the 19 manages to hang on.
Rich Bickle continues out in front of that number 17. There's that 19. Now the challenge is on. Here comes Bound down to the inside.
Raines in one of the 2 Kurt Roaring trucks here. Roaring fielding 2 trucks this year. Last year he only entered a total of 8 races with 6 different drivers.
90 laps complete this time by. Chuck Bound trying to make a move on Raines in the yellow number 19. And they're all bottled up here. Keselowski there. Ruttman gets into it. Ruttman from 30th in that red, yellow, blue number 80. The 14 truck is Rick Crawford, the rookie. He's in it strong. Down the back straightaway, Crawford looking for a hole on the inside. Bound working the bottom beautifully. And nobody is able to intimidate Raines. He holds on to it again.
He's doing a great job here.
Up the outside goes Ruttman. Had enough of working that bottom. Sticks it to the outside. Almost has Keselowski. Will he get him in 3? Yellow and red, number 80 on the outside. From Raines' view there, you see that yellow nose on Ruttman's rig. He's got it working on the outside, Dick.
He sure does. Round of applause for the seniors set.
Look at that 99 down on the bottom, trying to nose his way through. And Bound is great at that. He won't spin you, but he will move you. He just gets in there, and he keeps forcing his way in. It's his style. We've seen him do it everywhere in the United States at one time or another. He's there, and he's got you. Chuck Bound having a great run on the bottom, and he picks up that spot. It's Bound edging his way through, and he's going to take 6th spot. That's going to open it up. Let's see if Keselowski can shoot the gap.
2 Dodges here. Raines in a Dodge, Keselowski in a Dodge. 3 wide.
Oh! Ruttman on the outside of number 80. Joe Ruttman. Hey, Troy, the kid's looking good today.
And he gave those kids a driving lesson, didn't he?
Some kid. What is he, 47 now?
52. 52.
Great run by Ruttman up the outside. He closed the door on that one. Yeah. All they got was tailgate into 1.
And look at the right side of the truck, Ken.
Who cares?
It's all skinned up. Doesn't matter.
Truck racing, folks. Craftsman style, NASCAR. Next week, Monroe, Washington, right here on Superstation TBS. And Ruttman's putting on a show. So is Bound. The Exide 99. Meanwhile, up in front, let's not forget Bickle in that lead. Hornaday in second. Miller in third. And Tammy Jo Kirk, ex-motorcycle expert. Tammy Jo Kirk is into fourth spot. She started third, fell back to fifth, and fighting her way right back in this field and staying up in front.
It's Hurricane Hensley in the 43. About to lose a spot.
Mike Bliss is there working on it. That's Bliss down
Still
the inside of that number 2. He'll take 13th away. Jimmy Hensley.
Clear.
Very much.
Clear all around, Mike.
To the inside.
You know, Hensley's rear quarter is just all folded back. The sheet metal is still there, but it's been torn loose and pushed back. And look at this, the 24. Here comes Sprague, pressed behind him.
Getting down towards halfway, 99. A couple of laps, they'll put it out. Whoa, what a start to today's show. Had to wait almost an hour because of weather. This track is so rough going into 1 and into 3. They were talking about using mouthpieces out there. Didn't want to break up the Chinaware.
And some of these guys actually welded some of the suspension component adjustments so they wouldn't loosen up. There's so much vibration.
A spectacular start for Bickle, who had such a terrible start here a year ago and embarrassed himself. Hornaday closes him down as we get to the end of the first half of this Craftsman $300,000 showdown in Portland, Oregon.
Bickle is now closing in on Bill Sedgwick in that number 4. Caution flag.
We're halfway.
Halfway, yep.
We're halfway. And what a show they put on. Bickle out in front. Hornaday in second. Miller in third. And Tammy Jo Kirk in fourth spot thus far. But now, the sparks are going to fly. The big money section's coming up. We'll take a quick break, come back, talk to some of these drivers as they primp and prepare for the tough fight to come. Round 1 is over. All in favor of Bickle. Round 2 coming up. Let's go down into the fighters' corners right now and meet some of the principals. Here's Mike Hogwood.
And I'm with Rich Bickle, who is on this racetrack this weekend. How do you feel out there?
I'll tell you what, this year's Die Hard Battery Chevrolet has been awesome since we unloaded it. The thing's running great now. We got one little major thing to change at the brake. That's all we're going to do.
What are you changing? What are you having to do on this track? What are you changing?
I'm not going to tell you. It's a secret. I don't want everybody in the world to know what we got to do here. We found something really neat in this suspension of this truck, and it just needs a little bit more, and I think we know what to do with it. And like I said, we're going to put this year's Die Hard Battery Chevrolet in the winner's circle. We're due for one. We're ready to get him.
All right, Steve Burns.
Hey, Dan.
And Butch Miller sitting inside the number 20 truck. He's had a great run in third place, but Butch, it looks like you're not happy with the way the truck's running.
Well, I think I got the typical Portland setup in the Orleans Hotel Casino Chevrolet. What's going on is the darn thing pushes in the middle of the corner, and you go to step on the gas, and you can't touch the gas pedal coming off because the back end just bounces around. Such a rough racetrack. Beautiful racetrack. It's a kind of racetrack trucks need to race on, but it's tough on us right now. We're still trying to figure it out.
Okay, back to Mike Hogwood.
With Ron Hornaday running second, do you have anything for Bickle right now?
Awesome Chevrolet. Just got a little bit tight, you know, with the weather didn't have us get enough practice in yesterday, and we didn't qualify, but we'll make a change. We'll be all right the second half. We just had to save it.
Tell us what changes you're making.
Well, I really don't know. We're going to drop some air pressure for sure in the right front. I hope it don't make too many changes. We just want to get through the middle of the corner, so if we can just get that cut a little better, we have a good truck.
Great race today.
Will be an excellent one.
All right, Ken, it's going to be a great second half.
Now for our Mopar mid-race report. Leaders, just a couple. Lead changes, just 2. Cautions, only 3. 14 laps under caution. 1 truck retired. Hey, that doesn't sound like much, Doctor.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, you've been watching this thing.
Standing ovation when they came at the finish. I love to come to the Northwest.
Yep, the crowd was right on its feet.
On its feet. The whole place gave them a standing ovation. This is racing in the Northwest at Portland, Oregon, and what a show we're going to have in the second half. We'll take this quick break and then come back and get ready to rock and roll one more time at Portland, Oregon. Hello, Portland, Oregon. Nice to be here and enjoy your racetrack. It's a toughie, it's a rough one, but it sure gives us a great show. Let's get down there to the pits and see what Steve Burns has cooking.
Hey, Ken, the 4th place truck is Tammy Jo Kirk. She's putting on a great show for fans. Tammy Jo, you had the fans on on their feet. What changes will you make for the second half? Can you get to the front?
Well, it's going to change just a little bit. I think we got a good truck there. We're just trying to bide a little time there, just save the truck for the last year and hope we got a good thing at the end.
All right, best of luck in the second half. Let's go back upstairs.
What do you think her chances are?
I think they're pretty good, Ken. What I'm really wondering about is Bickle making that change at the halfway point, the one he wouldn't tell us about. I wonder if he wouldn't tell us about it because it's a big one. You just heard Tammy Joe say, we don't want to change very much. We're running up front. Hornaday said the same thing. Bickle, the only one of the leaders, says he's doing something substantial. We'll see if it helps or hurts.
Over massage, yeah. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
The guy who's made the biggest move today from 30th all the way up to 6th, Joe Ruttman. You really have something.
Well, it's the guys have really got a good truck and just a lot of fun to be able to get this baby dialed in. Now I can make a long distance call with LCI and save myself some money and tell everyone how good I'm doing and how poorly I qualified, but how good I'm running. So.
Do you have the muscle to go from 6th to 1st now to challenge Bickle and Hornaday?
Well, I don't really know, but I'd like to say hi to Troy. Troy, we're digging for you.
Yeah, Joe Ruttman a little obviously emotional here. He's having a great run today, and obviously his mind is on one Troy Ruttman.
There's the running order as we get ready after 101 of 200 laps. Bickle has done an outstanding job. Had that pole, set a new record, lost it to Hornaday in a great fight, gets himself right back up through. Mike Bliss still back there in 14th. Jay Sauter not having the kind of day he wanted. Dan Press, I'm sure that Dan thought he had a better setup than that, and he'd be in the top 10 by now. But now it's show and tell time. They've run those first 100 laps out. You got to get through it. Now you got to go for it. This is when they're going to send out the checks.
We have not said a whole lot today about Butch Miller and that number 20 truck, but he has spent the majority of this race running in a very solid third position. Interestingly enough, there's Bickle, your current leader, sitting on the backstretch right now, kind of waiting for the field to catch up with him. Interestingly enough, the team for which Miller drives last year ran a Dodge. Walker Evans was the driver. This year they started out with a Ford. They ran it one race. Miller was second in it, and now they got Chevrolets. They have run all three brands in this series in a span of just 5 events.
And it's pulling out right now. He's one of the last trucks to come out, is that number 20 Miller, who wasn't comfortable with how that thing was working in the first half of this race. Rich Bickle, a year ago, set on the pole. Then he came out here for the race. And going into turn number 3, very first lap of this event, wanted so hard to impress, and instead did the hip-hop.
Well, last year we had a really good qualifying setup. We set a pole here with a Dodge, but unfortunately I think we had the wrong shocks in the race, and the place is so rough and it's so old that in the inside of turn 3 it's maybe wheel hop really bad. It's spun the thing around a couple times. Pretty embarrassed about that.
They say experience is the best teacher. Rick Bickle can sure attest to that.
You know, if you're really, really observant, you might have noticed that there was no wall in turn 3 and 4 last year. It was just blackberry bushes. Now we've got concrete over there.
Yeah, it's sort of like those blackberry bushes.
I thought it was kind of neat.
Historic. Tom
Yeah.
Sneva said he had spent as much time in those blackberry bushes as anyone that ever raced the Northwest.
Well, there have been a few guys that wound up there, but there are a few who really prefer a concrete wall to the blackberry.
And beyond that is a lovely swan.
Yes, there is. Bickle would prefer to continue to lead this thing for sure. He is really focused on winning this race. He drives for Darrell Waltrip, who I'm sure is watching.
If you used to miss in turn 3, you could have yourself an incredible environmental adventure just in about 3 seconds, right into the swamp.
Yeah, and they say the white cars that went in there came out purple too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, take a look at Ron Hornaday as he settles down and gets ready to continue the struggle this afternoon. What a show we had up in front. It was hard to get off that. Then you got back and watched Ruttman putting on that great show, and Tammy Jo Kirk driving the best race she's driven. And remember, she's won as an expert motorcycle racer. This is no fluke. This is a real racer out here in number 7 who lines up in 4th. And as they come around, let's review the front of the field for you. You have Darrell Waltrip's number 17 with Rich Bickle ready to go from the point. Hornaday is in 2nd. Miller is in 3rd. Tammy Jo Kirk is in 4th. Refner is in 5th. Ruttman is up to 6th. Kazalowski is in 7th. Chuck Bound lies in 8th, then in 9th. Down the back straightaway is that number 14. That's Rick Crawford. And he's put on an excellent show. Right behind him is Raines in that yellow machine, the Pennzoil rig. Taking us to 10th, and we're ready to take you racing for the second half of the Portland 200.
Trucks starting on the bottom are all lap trucks. The fast trucks, the ones on the lead lap, are on the outside.
Ooh, here's Dan Press down the inside trying to get a lap back.
Hey, he's going to do it.
Pulled it right in there. He knows a lot about the, got a little loose there.
Now, this has got to be given. This has got to be given Bickle heart failure. This is exactly what he does not want to have, is a guy trying to unlap himself on the inside.
Made it through, and Bickle is able to sustain and stay in front of Hornaday. That was the key part of that move.
He was also able not to crash, which was pretty good driving.
Remember, it is a washboard down into this first turn right here. A day ago, saw a terrible crash right there where it says Safeway. Slammed head on at 100 miles an hour.
Big crash.
Butler.
Big crash.
Broke his neck. He is okay. The first vertebrae was broken.
Toby Porter.
Toby Porter, beg your pardon. Toby Porter crashing there. And they are giving us a better report from the hospital today, but it looked grim when he went in.
Hey, Press is really running. You know what? He's faster than Bickle is.
Yeah, Press has that ability.
Yeah, now if he gets a yellow flag, all he has to do is work his way through the whole pack again, and Joe Ruttman has already proven that that is possible, but he needs the yellow flag.
He's back there in 18th spot at number 75 that now leads the field, and he sure would like to come around and close up on those leaders.
Big pack of trucks.
Oh, Raines. As he watches Jay Sauter slide down to the inside and make his move through. There's Tony Roper up on the outside in the 31. Sauter beginning to cut it loose.
That black number 3, the head of this group, is Richard Childress' truck. Hard to believe that Richard Childress has 3 teams and has not yet won this deep into the season. Crash up in turn 2. Got a yellow out.
Caution out for the 77.
Lonnie Rush
really thumped it.
He sure did.
Steve?
Yeah, Ken, as I said, we've been standing down here in the turns. His left front tire was flat, and I tell you what, he didn't slow down a whole lot when he hit the wall, but fortunately, Lonnie has just put down the window net. Looks.
See Lonnie Rush trying to get himself together. Very quick stop for number 77. That's the kind of stuff that really hurts you. Back with more from Portland after this. Lonnie Rush out of Ohio. Stomped into the wall. Take a look at what happened here.
Watch the smoke coming out of the front tires. You'll see it as he goes into the corner. See the smoke underneath? There it is. He's got them all lit up. And hello, wall. Right in front of Hornaday.
Left front tire down. Here's Mike Hogwood.
Well, during that caution period, some drivers took advantage to come in who have some very banged up sheet metal, put some more duct tape on. Guys like Boris Said and Rick Corelli and Dave Resendez all here on pit road, hopefully not losing any more time out on the racetrack.
Getting set on a restart with Bickle leading the way. Hornaday still in second. Miller in third. And it's Tammy Jo Kirk maintaining fourth. Refner beating on her rear bumper. Here is Steve Burns.
You know, Ken, we have a real unique opportunity at this racetrack here in Portland to be right on top of the action. You see the trucks are right behind us, and I heard Dick Bergman talk about the chrome bumper earlier. Well, just about every one of these trucks has either gotten it or given it, because the grill work and the front bumpers are all mashed in on every one.
Well, that's part of short track racing. That's just supposed to be the way it is. Here's your top 10. Bickle on top, Hornaday running in second. They have led all the laps so far. Miller consistently in third. Tammy Jo has the crowd all wound up. She's in fourth. Brian Refner, a good solid run in fifth. Ruttman from the back to sixth. Keselowski in the top. Dodge so far, he's in seventh. Chuck Bound and Jack Roush is forward in eighth. Rick Crawford, strong run for the rookie in ninth. Jay Sauter from the back up to 10th.
We're at lap 111. Second caution of the second half.
You know, we're talking about Rich Bickle and what his future might look like. This strong run he's having today is kind of a harbinger of that future. Rich Bickle is going to run several Winston Cup races in 1997 for Darrell Waltrip, who owns this truck. He'll run at Indy, Phoenix, and Atlanta, possibly one or two more. And then in 1998, he will run full-time for Darrell Waltrip. How much more will Darrell Waltrip race? He will definitely race some in 98, says Bickle, but Bickle's going to run them all for Darrell in 98.
Reminds you a lot of Waltrip in his style, in his walk, in his candor with the folks around him. Probably not quite as verbal, but who is? All right. You've got Bickle stationed on that point. Go, Mike. And right behind him, Hornaday. He scrubs those tires up a little and brings it out of 4. Look at Hornaday go right back to the outside to take the shot. That was a big break for Press, as was pointed out by Dick Berggren. Big break for him.
Boy, Hornaday was so aggressive on that start, trying to get the position away from Bickle, just couldn't do it.
Dan Press was the guy that made up a lap. He circulated around the field, back up with these leaders. Let's see what he can do from there. Look at Tammy Jo Kirk down on the bottom, and she's working on that number 20. I think she's got Miller pinned. Right in front of them is Jimmy Bound in the 87. That is some race. There is the number 20 on the outside, and the number 7, Tammy Jo Kirk, out of Dalton, Georgia, stuffs the nose down on the bottom of the racetrack, hammers it home. Jimmy Bound in the 87, many-time winner here at Portland, has the spot, and here's Tammy Jo Kirk up another spot.
Now Bound's a lap truck up in front. Kenny Irwin in front of them is a lap truck too. Tammy Jo is now in 3rd position.
It's just Bickle and Hornaday in front of Tammy Jo Kirk. And she is having some kind of day in Portland, Oregon.
And so are the Winston Cup drivers who own these trucks. I mean, Jeff Bodine owns the number 7. That's in 3rd position. Earnhardt owns the truck that's in 2nd position. Darrell Waltrip owns the truck that's leading. I hope they're not sitting together at Sears Point watching this race.
I bet you they are.
Yeah, well, they're probably bruising each other as they are.
And this battle up in front. Here are two guys you're going to hear about for years to come. They're great. They're good. They're gutsy. And look at them fly on this half mile. Out in front is Bickle, Hornaday right with him. They couldn't have a better truck champion this year than Ron Hornaday. The guy's got style, he's got class, and he's one whale of a racer. And Rich Bickle, he's just coming on. So those two up in front, and now you've got Milady, Tammy Jo Kirk in 3rd spot. She's got a couple of lap trucks to deal with. Jimmy Bound directly in front of her. Now take a look at 24 and 2. Sprague, Bliss, and there's Raines on the outside as they try to press him out of the way. That is, take a look at the 24 in what,
12th position.
Raines being held on that outside. That's a break for Mike Bliss.
Sprague has not had a lot of fun here in that 24. He spun that truck, did a complete 360 on his qualifying run. Earlier, he said that he was worried about the ratchet. That's a piece of equipment in the rear end of the truck, and if that thing breaks, why the wheels just don't turn together anymore, and it's almost impossible to go fast. But right now, it seems to be holding up quite well.
So, Raines is back into 12th, and look at this. You talk about getting tight, getting close.
That's a crash. That's a crash trying to happen right there.
That's a crash that did happen. There just wasn't a wreck.
Yeah, it's about a 3-lap long crash.
Steve Burns.
With Dennis Conner, the crew chief for Jack Sprague. Dennis, you guys seem to be struggling. What is Jack saying?
Well, the first half we were really, really tight, and we made a lot of changes during the halftime deal to the Quaker State Chevrolet. Right now, he's running really good lap times. He just kind of got no track position, so we'll just have to see how it goes. He hadn't said anything the second half.
The guy you got to say a lot about today is Ruttman from 30th position. Here he is challenging Butch Miller in the white number 20 for 4th spot. Joe Ruttman of Upland, California has never driven harder than I can recall. He always drives hard, but today he seems to be on fire.
Says he's never won one of these things from the back of the pack, and he could not have started any further back than he did today. Ruttman has carefully worked his way through. all the way up now, looking for Butch Miller. Started in 30th, running 5th, looking for 4th. Oldest driver in the field at age 52, driving for Jack Roush. Didn't win last year, won 1 this year, won 2 in 95, first year of the series.
But who's going to forget that dramatic last lap battle at Orlando with Jack Sprague? Thought he owed Jack one, took it back in Orlando, the first race of the year. There's Kirk coming by, now here's Miller, here's Rutman.
Miller says this place is a lot like Mount Clemens Speedway in Michigan, where he used to run a lot. Flat, rough, nasty. He said, I like places like that. I do well at places like that. Doing well today, but he'd be doing a lot better if he didn't have Joe Rutman all over his back bumper.
Refner said it was like Mount Clemens, and there goes Rutman down the inside, and he's up into 4th. This happening at 127. Lap 127, Rutman makes the move, and he goes looking for Kirk up there in the 3rd spot.
Rutman is on a mission today. Look at him go.
Joe Rutman finds himself in 4th, relegated to 5th. Butch Miller. Kirk is in 3rd, holding up in that 2nd spot. Remains the number 18, Hornadays, number 16, and 17, Bickle in the lead. Back under caution. This one isn't serious. Tony Roper, number 31, Bobby Brevack's rig up against the wall. It just sort of sidled up there, did not crash. At the same time, the 99 had gone off. It's going to be the 3rd DNF for Roper and the Brevack team this year. And the 99 has rolled back into the garage area. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
It's either a rear end or a drive shaft. Whatever it is going to be costly for Chuck Bound, and he is going to lose a lot of laps here in the pits.
Continuing to work beneath the 99. Under caution, we're at lap 134. Caution came out at 132.
So the new drive shaft going in there, they're getting ready to put that underneath Bound's truck. Bickle, your leader still. He did not detune for this race. A lot of the drivers did. Bickle did not. Guess what? The guy in 2nd position, Hornaday, said, I'll take all the horsepower I can get. He did not detune. And Tammy Jo Kirk running in 3rd. She did not detune. They are controlling the tires with their feet, getting down to green flag.
Gatorade Award winner for the first half, that extra $1,000. Bickle leads him down, and we're back under green again. Here comes Hornaday after Bickle another time. Shoes away, looks to the inside. Those two are masters of that defensive driving that you have to do, and here comes Brevack getting ready to come back out as they come into the main straightaway to complete lap 136. The Roper rig is back, the Brevack truck back on the track.
Bickle doesn't seem to have lost anything by the change he made at the halfway point. Neither does he seem to have gained, at least in relation to Hornaday, who is right with him, able to hang on, no problem. Kenny Irwin riding behind them in 3rd spot. He's a lap truck, went down a lap real early in the race as a result of a penalty. Has not made the lap up since. Oh, trouble, turn 1.
That is Refner. Oh. Kozlowski was right after him, trying to get down to the inside. They touched, and there's Dan Press up against the wall. Caution is out. Had a feeling that one was coming. You could see him in the main straightaway, both trying to get down. And there wasn't any further room to get down. They were on the bottom of the track. Tony Roper in that 31 for Brevack is back on the track.
Refner in this 66 had DNF'd in all 4 races. He said, I need to finish more than anything else today. Truck's at least still running. Banged up, beat up, but it's running.
Ooh, Dan Press is in trouble. The 75 showing a lot of smoke as it goes into number 1. Take a look at what happened. There it is. Getting turned is Refner. That's Kozlowski, who was trying to get down to the inside. He gets collected here. They're ducking and diving, trying to drive through. And getting caught was the 75, got up in the wall. Now watch that 29. Bingo.
Just the tiniest little touch. Refner tried to come down. Kozlowski was there by a couple of inches. Caught Kozlowski's front bumper, and hello wall for Refner.
There's another Mount Clemens veteran, Kozlowski, who said this track's just like Mount Clemens. Down to the pits.
We're with Dan Press down here, and the smoke you were seeing was sheet metal rubbing against the tire. They're trying, as you see, to strip it all away. They're going to have to cut some of this off, and a lot of duct tape going on the truck of Dan Press before he's back out on the track.
Rich Bickles, crew chief, watching this. I wonder what he's thinking. Steve?
Ken with Dave McCarty. Now, Rich wouldn't tell us what you guys changed at halftime, but you're running so strong. Can you tell us?
Well, the Die Hard Chevrolet has been running good all weekend, and we haven't had to do a lot of changes, but I'm not going to tell you either what we did.
But you have to. You guys are out in the front.
That's why we're out in the front. I can't tell you.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Waltrip trained.
Yeah,
tell.
oh yeah. Well, I don't know, if he was Waltrip trained, he might have told him a story that might have been exactly the true story either. Well, I wonder if Irwin's going to make his lap up this time, Ken. He sure has had plenty of opportunities to do it. He has been a very strong truck all afternoon.
Yep.
Got another chance here.
Kenny Irwin went a lap down at the start of the number 98, the Indianapolis, Indiana racer. Was called at the start. He was back in the 15th row for jumping the flag, stop and go penalties, putting a lap down. The 98 is trying to make that lap up right now. Here he comes. He's in 17th spot. As he goes down into the corner, and Bickles says, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Ooh, but as 98 came off turn 2, it created a situation where Hornaday had to lift for a moment, and that's the biggest lead. There it is, almost a whole truck length for the number 17 in the main straightaway. How about that? Oh, there's a big breather.
Heavy traffic behind them. Very heavy traffic. Has not yet sorted out at all.
And here's Hornaday right back, ready to put the chrome horn to the 17, telling beep, beep, here I am again. Now, you got a couple of laps to relax and take it easy, but I'm coming.
It's been all Hornaday and Bickles so far today. They have led all the laps since this thing has begun.
Take a look back here. Tammy Joe Kirk on the inside, trying to put a lap down. I think that's the 87. Jimmy Bound up on the outside. Here comes Ruttman in the 80. Here comes Miller in the 20. Keselowski right there. All four battling for third. And there's more to it than that. Behind Keselowski, you've got Jay Sauter in the 3. He's back there in 7th spot. I mean, you got yourself a race. 14, Rick Crawford, and then Jack Sprague. This is all for position. And they begin to beat and bang on Miller now. Keselowski trying to get through.
Well, it's getting serious now. 55 laps to go of the 200. We're almost three quarters of the way into this thing. It's time to show and tell. It's time to get going if you want to win this.
Keselowski under Jimmy Bound. He is a lap down, but he's put on a good show here. Hey, stay with us. You may see a little history today. You may see the best woman finisher in years in NASCAR, for certain in the Truck Series. Tammy Kirk out of Dalton, Georgia, stays in 3rd spot, and that's something to shout about. She has given her truck just a tremendous ride. Mike Bliss in that number 2. He's there in 10th spot. He's right in that collection that are all in there. If there's one miscue from 3rd back to 10th, it's a jumble.
Crawford and Sprague all over each other. There is no space whatever between those two trucks. Sprague, however, has got the spot.
Yeah, that circle bar team. Watch for this guy in time to come in that 14. Crawford, that's a great, strong, new team.
Tom Mitchell's the owner of that team. He took Chet Phillip to Indianapolis. Hard to say how far he's going to take Crawford, but so far Crawford has shown us a lot here in this Truck Series.
And Mitchell just showed him Bliss just showed him the outside.
Yeah, he did.
Mike Bliss in the deuce.
But you know, Bliss has got so many laps here, Ken. Of all the racetracks that Bliss has run in his whole life, this is one of the 2 tracks that's tops in terms of numbers of laps that he has run. And he's a quick learner anyway. I mean, that's a guy you could take to a racetrack and he could win the first time he ever saw the place. But so much experience here at Portland.
Reminds you so much of Dick Trickle. He just knows.
Still there.
Inside.
Still there on the outside. Still there. Clear, Mike. Clear.
Here comes the rest of that parade.
50 to go.
87 on the outside. That's Jim Bound. He was involved in a crash in the 3rd and 4th turn early in the day. One of those multi-truck jingles. You can see the remnants of that accident on both sides. Tony Raines, we're in his truck now. Kobe Butler just ahead. Ken Schrader owns that one. Butler in the 52. He's had some contact on the right side as well. Raines right behind him. Corelli behind him in the number 6. Pirelli in the 6, bound on the outside of the 87. Tony Raines ahead of them.
Look at Ruttman. Twice he's pulled up on that rear quarter panel on the number 7. He's come all the way up under the rear wheel, and twice Tammy Jo Kirk has pulled away in the last 4 laps. Ruttman, unfazed, stays right there, knows that this is a real professional, strong racer, showing a lot of respect as Ruttman, looking for that one spot where he can take that shot and take that position down into the main straightaway. He's right up on the tail. He drops back to the outside, looks high. Let's see if he'll scoot back to the bottom. This is a great race. That's the third spot.
Yeah. Ruttman started in 30th position, had to take a provisional, qualified when the weather wasn't the best, all the way to 4th, looking for 3rd. How does a gentleman treat a lady in a situation like this? I think you go buyers.
Hammer down, I think is what Ruttman has in mind. And we'll be back to see how this works itself out. As it's still Bickle and Hornaday first and second at Portland in the 200. In another time, that's 8 today. Let's take a look at this Prestone race recap. Only 2 leaders, you say? Only 2 lead changes? What kind of a race is that? It's one of the best races we've seen all through the field. It's been a slugfest as Bickle stays up in front, fighting with Ron Hornaday, and behind them, what dramatic stories. Tammy Jo Kirk in 3rd from 30th position. Joe Ruttman in 4th as he tries to take it back. I'll tell you, we've got ourselves one cooking. The caution, well, there was a meeting up in turn 3. Number 65, driven by Kenny Allen, met with number 66, Brian Refner. It will not improve team or individual relations after that confrontation. Take a look at this. Mike Hogwood.
And we're with Randy Goss, Joe Ruttman's crew chief. We're just talking what an inspired race that Ruttman is driving today.
Boy, the LCI Ford is hooked up today, and I'm telling you, Joe really is that good. We just got to get all the parts and pieces right for him, and he can drive it to the front.
What's Joe telling you? Does he think he has anything for Rich Bickle or Ron Hornaday?
Well, I don't know if we got anything for Rich. Right now, Tammy's got us held up a little bit. She's strong where we're strong, and we're weak where she's weak. So if we can get by her, we'll see what's left.
An inspirational day for Joe Ruttman.
It is. I mean, he's that good. We're happy.
Now, it's pretty excited down here in Joe Ruttman's pit, Ken.
Inspirational race all the way around, watching Bickle and Hornaday put on such a great performance, watching Ruttman cut and slash his way through the field, watching Tammy Jo Kirk staying right up in the front of this thing, top 3, trying for the best finish by a woman driver in truck history. Hey, this is some show at Portland, and next week Monroe. Talk about shows coming right up. Those Braves, oh, those darn Braves, they're up against the Pirates today at home. Glavine ready to go, the April pitcher of the month. He's going to be after them. They're at 20-7, and they've got themselves a big one today. Hope you'll be around to enjoy it right after our race from Portland, Oregon. That's on Superstation TBS. Braves coming up against the Pirates. Looks like a lap to turn them loose.
It's getting rough, Ken. It really is. As this race winds down, about the only truck that's not marked is Bickle, the leader. Hornaday's got tire marks, torn up sheet metal. Tammy Jo Kirk had kept it clean until a couple of laps ago. She's got black tire marks on the right rear corner. Ruttman, both sides of the truck, getting down to it.
Kirk ready to give up sheet metal anytime. Nothing about those pink colors that should fool you. This one will give up fenders, give up those bumpers, do anything to take down another spot, and we're ready to see if she can get any further toward the front of the field, or if Ruttman can take her out. Here we come for the start. 164 laps complete of 165 as they come to 164. Take it back. They change the scoreboard 2 times. Look at this. Hornaday on the outside. Bickle on the inside. Out of 4, down the back straightaway, dead even. Hornaday saved it up. Tries to pinch him into turn 3. Does Hornaday in the 16. Bickle will have no part of it. He puts his foot down. He stays firm, but it's Hornaday in the main straightaway. They touch. Oh, wow.
They touch again and again.
That is something.
But they didn't take each other out. They were all over each other. Didn't take each other out. Hornaday has taken the lead from Bickle. who has been in command since the second half. Hornaday in the 16, driving the same truck that won here last year. Bickle never has won. Hornaday has won 10 of these things, looking for his 11th. And the crowd is on its feet. We got trouble up in turn 2. That's Doug George, spun, stuck in the mud.
No, he's away.
Yeah,
he's
he's
clear,
gone.
and there's no yellow.
Yeah, staying green. Well, what does Bickle do now? He haunts Hornaday. He will have to haunt Ron Hornaday and just stay all over that truck, trying to win his... Oh, boom! Bickle hits him.
Well, now we're getting serious.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is real short track racing. Bickle and Hornaday, two masters, go after each other in a tangle for the lead. $300,000 at stake, and you've got yourself a race. Ron Hornaday, defending champion. Bickle up on the outside, slams him, tries to move him out, break him loose.
Both these guys are short track experts. Both came from America's short tracks. They're used to this slam, bang, pound stuff.
Looks to the outside. Hornaday said, yeah, it's all right. You're not going to get me that far around.
Well, Bickle has made some time on the outside
Here
before
he
today.
comes back. Tries to pinch it to the inside. We know that Bickle was fast in qualifying by, what, 2/3 of a second over everybody.
New track
right now,
record.
it's Hornaday. New track record, broke his old track record. Average speed around this place, about 90 miles an hour on a half mile. Old, rusty, rippled. Doesn't bother these two.
This crowd is on its feet every single time Bickle and Hornaday come by the main grandstand.
Kirk,
why not?
Kirk in the number 7 lies behind Dan Press and number 98, the Kenny Irwin truck. She's still third, with Joe Rutland right there, and they are putting on their own show. Third is Kirk. Fourth is Rutland. Miller, 5th. Keselowski, 6th. Jay Sodders, 7th. Then in 8th is Sprague. 9th is Bliss, and they're lined up nose to tail back to 9th spot.
Hornaday is diamonding the racetrack on a lot of these turns. He'll go in, go up into the bottom of the racetrack, slide her up a little bit, drop back down again. Bickle is trying to round the corners out. He's running it a lot more smoothly than Hornaday is, but both are making the laps at about the same speed.
Rick Crawford back there in 10th. Tammy Joe in that 3rd spot. Ms. Kirk keeps Rutland at bay.
And Butch Miller right behind. Miller running in 5th spot in that white number 20 owned by off-road racing legend Walker Evans.
Tony Raines in 12th, the number 19. Had a good run today. And 13th at the present time, that's Stacy Compton. Look at Hornaday. Hey, that's a fat lead. That's almost a whole truck length.
Well, let's see how long that lasts. Bickle closed right up on him in that turn.
175, 25 laps to go. Let's go to Mike Hogwood.
I'm with John Monson now, and on the Ron Hornaday truck, there was a problem with the brake adjuster. He fixed it, and now he's leading.
When you turn it too far in one direction, it tends to lock up. He turned it too far to the front, it got stuck, and the truck got tight. When he got it free, he put it back to the rear a little bit, and he used it to help the truck turn. I just hope he can hold this lead, because Bickle's tough.
Is that that brake adjuster, is that the reason you're able to take the lead?
I can't tell you why. All I can tell you is that Ron Hornaday is absolutely awesome.
Uh-oh, big crash down here, 7 and 80. And I'm not sure about what somebody... There's that's the 3rd and 4th place machines. Kirk trying to get away, Rutman trying to get away. Saw some smoke come up out of turn 2. Kirk back underway. Front of her truck slammed in.
Let's get a look at what happened here. Tammy Jo Kirk in the number 7. She's doing fine. Rutman on the outside in the number 80. Tammy Jo closing in on Kenny Irwin. Rutman tries to get on the outside. Rutman on the outside. Tammy Jo comes up, and hello, wall.
Oh, looks like she tried to pinch him out.
Either that or she didn't know he was there. One or the other.
Yeah. Slam bam. Full contact truck racing from Portland, Oregon live. Kirk and Rutman into it. Serious. They end up down here going into turn 3. Well, Dennis Huth and the boys will have a little chat about that, I'm sure. When
Yeah,
it's
and you see
over.
Jay Sauter and the 3 go by in the midst of all of that. Went right by Butch Miller. Let's go to Mike Hawkwood.
Tammy Jo Kirk into pits right now. Serious sheet metal damage, but that appears to be all. The frame does not appear to be bent very much. Tammy Jo is back out.
What about Rutland?
She's lost all her track position, though. I mean, that's the really hard thing here, is that after such a brilliant run today, running right up in the top 5 all day long, now we've had that incident, and both she and Rutman will be well in the back of the field. Rutman's out there running. He's just riding around the racetrack. He's in the back, having been involved in that accident.
Going into 4, you could see it build up coming out of 2. The fur began to fly, and then all of a sudden, in 3, it was over as far as their aspiration for staying up in that top 5. Kirk coming back out. Rutman still on the course with the right side of his car rumpled badly. We've got 179, 180 this time by, and 20 to go to finish it up. A wild one at Portland as we begin our Superstation TBS Racing Series 1997 next week up in the Seattle area at Monroe. Top 10, Hornaday, Bickle, Miller. Now Jay Sauter to 4th. Big break for Sprague. Keselowski back to 6. As good as he's done, he's there.
Tammy Jo and Joe Rutman are still in the lead lap. They are running in 13th and 14th position, respectively. But they're way at the back of the pack, and not much time to get it done. Just 20 laps to go in this thing.
Doubling them up, green flag this time by.
Well, Bickle going to win his first ever. Hornaday going to win his 11th. Or is Butch Miller going to sneak by both of them and capitalize? Be his 11th.
Yep. All right. Jay Sauter. He's become a factor again in this race.
29, Keselowski is right in there as well. He's the top Dodge right now.
6th spot.
Yeah.
That equals his best finish. Just got the last show out.
Jay Sauter in the black number 3.
Hornaday on the break. Gets himself out in front, and Sauter gets thrown out of that inside line and falls all the way to the rear. Number 3, Jay Sauter slammed, and he goes to the outside, falls back about 12 spots, gathers it up, and gets going again. Bad break for the number 3 of Jay Sauter.
He has spent all day working his way to the front of that one little incident, and Sauter goes right back and has to start all over again. Hornaday, your leader. Look
Here
at
comes
Bickle.
Bickle down the inside. He's found a hole on the bottom, but he can't get through. Butch Miller lies 3rd. Up to 4th goes Sprague. Keselowski into 5th.
The black flag, the number 75 truck. Dan Press, allegedly for putting the number 3 Sauter in the wall. Allegedly.
Careful.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I said allegedly.
Short track, you know.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to worry about anybody taking air off anybody else's spoiler here. It's a question about whose bumper is better and who's got the better track position. And right now, Bickle is trying on the outside.
He's got his foot down. He rides. This is the tough one going into 1. Can he hold it? Can he stay there? He's made it work. Rich Bickle rim rides on the outside, the high side, and he goes back into the lead with 15 to go against Hornaday.
Whoever wins this thing will have earned it and then some. What a race.
Rich Bickle set on the pole, broke the track record, and he has just thundered along through the most difficult part of this track. Over that old washboard into number 1, just as stout and steady as if it was satin smooth. He's back in the lead. Hornaday's in 2nd. Miller's there in 3rd. Time's running out. 187, this time by complete of the 200 to be run. And take a look at that. A little warm out there.
You bet. That's Hornaday's front suspension. You're watching the brake rotor. Right now he's going down the straightaway. The brake rotor has cooled off. When he gets in the corner, that thing lights up cherry red. Look at that. Going in the corner, Hornaday hard on the brakes, lights the rotor up, and you watch the wheel bouncing up and down as well.
That's short track.
Isn't that neat?
That's what it's all about in short track. A lot of brake, a lot of heart, and a lot of great drivers. And this Craftsman Series gives it to us week after week. 4 races, 4 different winners. Shooting for number 5 here today.
Bickle does it. He's never won. He would be the 5th this year. We had 7 winners last year, 7 winners in 1995. This is shaping up to be the most competitive year of all.
And look at Keselowski in the 29, making his move. He's had so much bad luck, so many hard days, so many one hamburger a day days. But he has put it together. He and his brother never give up. They've always supported Chrysler, and now they have a little bit of extra stuff to work with, and they're making it work. Look at Keselowski. He's up to 5th. He's challenging Jack Sprague in the 24. And here comes Mike Bliss giving us these great pictures out of number 2 for the Barry Dodson organization.
If Keselowski can hang on to this 5th spot, this will be the best finish of his entire truck career. He was 6th at his last race at Phoenix. Did his career best start just a few races before that in Las Vegas when he started 4th, and has he turned this team around?
Jimmy Smith's number 2 giving us these great pictures back into 3, and he closes in. I love to watch Mike Bliss race. I think that he has such a future. He is so smooth, so cool under fire. You're going to see him winning some races this year for sure. But look at Keselowski making up time, coming after Sprague. This is what he's dreamed about, having some equipment that would put him up there. His brother Ron, his crew chief, looking on. He's followed him, and Ron was a great racer out of Rochester Hills, Michigan, this racing family, and they mean business, and they've got themselves a truck that will fly. Started 9th today. Keselowski right there. Now Sprague pulling away a bit, but Rich Bickle's the man of the moment. From the pole, he can become the 5th different winner. We're down to 7 laps to go. Goes under Tammy Jo Kirk. Around Brian Refner in the 66. When is Refner's luck going to change? Will it be at Monroe, Washington next Saturday? Be with us on Superstation TBS to see if Tammy Jo Kirk can come back, if Ruttman can put it back together. Stay with us, because right after this, the Braves and the Pirates are going to get it on from Atlanta. And 4 to go for Bickle. The guy that began racing motocross bikes at age 5 and has been winning ever since. Collects beer cans. That's right, he collects beer cans. Maybe we'll tell you that story next week in Monroe.
And he's got a birthday coming up, and what a birthday present this would be. His birthday's on the 13th of this month.
Slices his way down and underneath. Rob Rizzo of East Providence, Rhode Island. 198 complete. Victory Lane, that big rolling Victory Lane about to move in. It looks like we're going to have our 5th different winner of 1997. White flag goes out, and there's 1 to go for Bickle.
Darrell Waltrip hired him for consistency, and Bickle has proven his worth today. On the backstretch, final lap, coming down for the checkered flag.
Down for the finish. Give the win to Wisconsin's great. Rich Bickle has done it, and the crowd is on their feet cheering. 2nd spot today is going to go to Hornaday, who gave it everything he had, the defending champion. Here's Steve Burns.
And the crew celebrating a big win for Darrell Waltrip Motorsports, Rich Bickle's first career win, and Dave McCarty wins the Plastic Coat Finish Award.
All the people working Sears, Darrell Waltrip Motorsports. I mean, it's just been a great day for all of us, and I thank everybody for sticking with it. Rich did a great job, and it was one heck of a race. I'll tell you what, I thought we had it lost, but man, he hung in there, and like I said, die hard, he never give up.
He's headed for victory.
He's just spun around 3 times, landing in Victory Lane. I mean, there was a landing. Plastic Coat, the official spray paint in NASCAR, proud to sponsor the winning finish award, and it's presented to McCarty and the Rich Bickle team. Plastic Coat presenting $1,000 to the crew chief
of the highest finishing Craftsman truck team in Plastic Coat's award program. And at the end of the year, the crew chief with the best average finish gets 10 grand. Rich Bickle ready to clamber out. He's done it. He's won. Can he make it 2 in a row? Be the first to do it next week in Monroe? We'll tell you from the Seattle area. For Steve Burns, Mike Hogwood, and from Stock Car Racing Magazine, Dick Berger, and I'm Ken Squire. There's your champion, and what a race he put on.